making music is a basic human right. It's a basic human need because it's a way of expressing who and what we are. Right, I was brought up with music all around my house. There was always vinyl, there was always music being played, or my mother or my father would be singing, and it kind of gets into your blood. Right from as soon as I kind of knew one note plus another note plus another note was a chord, and me thinking, okay, so I can do that with 3 fingers. What am I going to do? I can't do the 4th finger or whatever I need. So I've always been adapting. You know, you adapt a chord to make it work the way you want it to work. So yeah, I've always adapted. So I started with the piano, and I just kind of learnt my way around to making a chord, and then keyboards became fairly mainstream, and suddenly you could do a chord with 1 finger, and MIDI came around, and you could build all sorts of sounds on 1 finger. And then I was really into guitar. I'm an old punk.
My name is Vahakn Matossian, and I run a small company with my father called Human Instruments. We're dedicated to making musical devices that are accessible and playable by absolutely everyone. If you're disabled and can't reach out for a keyboard or hold a heavy instrument, the adaptations of these instruments don't really exist. And so we're looking at making whole new instruments that allow people to play, make music. This device is called TouchChord, and it's designed for someone that has motion and control over with their hands and arms, but maybe limited control. And it's made so that someone doesn't have to support the weight of a traditional instrument or maybe to reach as far as a keyboard. And it's designed in a way that it can be really close to the body. Essentially, you have a keyboard on one side which plays any musical note in the Western scale. And on the left side, you have chord keys. And when you combine a note with a chord key, you get that chord. So you get a selection of many hundreds of chords you can play, and you have control over different octaves. So you can play the lower octave by blowing out, and you can play the higher octave by breathing in. And the breath control gives you a very, very subtle control over expression. So you can play long, slow, gentle flowing notes, or you can play quite sharp, hard attacking notes.
The Telecaster is probably 5 years old in the reality of it becoming possible, and physically it's been around for about 2 years. It's got real strings, and it uses music technology. It's got a program. So like I would hold a chord down and then strum, and it will play the chords.
Civil disobedience, the public for our audience. We ain't no freak show anymore.
In the past, things were designed for disabled people, was done at them. You know, we design for you. We make this for you. As a disabled person, you can spot when something's been made for a disabled person, but no disabled people have been involved in it. You can spot it a mile off because it doesn't work. It's not quite right.
I grew up with my father as a composer, so I was surrounded by music. He was co-founder of the British Paraorchestra, which is an orchestra of people where every musician, every amazing musician in this orchestra is disabled in some way. Lynn, who plays an iPad, and she's got a limitation where she can't use her arms with fine control. She's much better at using her face. And her instrument is an iPad that she uses with her nose. But she has this incredible musical mind, and she writes dance music. And the best device for her that exists right now is an iPad that she uses with her nose.
My name is Dr. Clarence Adoo, MBE, and I'd like to show you a setup and playing of human instruments.
Clarence Adoo is a trumpeter. He was a trumpeter, very, very good trumpeter. And he had a car accident and that left him tetraplegic. So he couldn't use his arms or legs and still very much wanted to make music. And my father was introduced to him and he helped develop a musical instrument system using a mouse that is worn on the head. It's the same sort of thing. It's using your head movement, the movement he has the best control over, and breath control, which is very important, to have control over music. It was really amazing because for the first time, Clarence could then play music again in an ensemble. And he said, famously, I'd rather play music than walk again.